You brought up citizenship. Ending birthright is citizenship.
For the kids of illegals. That's what I would favor. That's what I do favor and have long favored. That's a whole separate, we could get into legal rabbit holes.
No, I just wanted to clarify.
If you came into the country, I'm a pretty hardliner that if you're going to come to the country, come legally. Period. Don't enter the country.
What if they're here legally awaiting their,
illegally?
Green card?
No. Like all the cases that are going on.
Illegally, though.
No. But there are some that came, they're applied for.
You're talking about legal asylum seekers.
Yes. Yeah.
They went through the borders.
Yeah.
And
So now they're waiting for their trial and then they have a kid.
So I would say let's just start with the lowest hanging fruit. Obvious stuff. A, seal the border. B, stop paying for any sanctuary cities, end any kind of government benefit to anybody who enters the country illegally, end government welfare benefits to anybody who's even here on asylum. So end the incentives to be here illegally. Ending birthright citizenship for the kids of illegals, that is one of those incentives. And then at least starting with anybody who has committed a crime. And even I would go a little further than that. Anybody who entered the country illegally recently. Let's start with that. What does recently mean? Last 18 months, last 24 months. You came in the last 18 to 24 months illegally crossing that border. You haven't established roots in this country. I think it's a ridiculous claim to think that in 1 year or 2 years you have. If that group of people alone is returned to their country of origin, if it's just that alone would represent the largest mass deportation in American history by far. So very practically, to say the largest mass deportation in American history, I don't know that many people who actually find it objectionable to say, if you entered illegally in the last couple years of Biden, you haven't established roots in the country, or you committed a crime. We're talking about millions of people. But to say combine that with sealing the border and ending incentives to enter this country illegally, I think most Americans are actually, if they have the permission to say it, most Americans are in favor of that. Combine that with a rational approach to fixing our legal immigration system in a way that works for the benefit of America, including for the benefit of American workers, but in a way that benefits the people who are already here. Do we have a legal immigration system that does that optimally now? No, we do not. Can we design a legal immigration system that uses market mechanism, right? Companies should pay the country for the ability to actually hire somebody born abroad, but in a way that benefits that company. Yes, I think there are basic fixes that we can make as a total package. I think most people in this country are in favor of. And I think there's a role for the states to play here too, is the pragmatic part of those mass deportations. How are you going to do it? You only have this many ICE agents. Well, I mean, there's provisions in law, it's like 287G is what it's called, that allows the federal government to partner with state and local law enforcement to help them carry that out. That doesn't require the federal military to be showing up in, other parts of the country. That should be utilized, and it's not. And I think you need willing governors, willing state leaders to be able to be good partners in carrying out that focused mission. But if you explain it to the people, and I think it's one of the things I've found in the country is most Americans love our country and want what's best for our country. And if you explain it to them, the people are with us. I think that sometimes where we fall short of just sloganeering instead of actually explaining what makes sense for most people, I think that's half the battle. And so I think if you have both at the presidential level, I think Donald Trump's going to do a good job of it. I think he's already off to a good start in the first week. But if you have partners who are leading the state at the level of the 50 states across the country doing the same thing to reinforce that, I'm confident we can have a pretty rational solution here.
I could be mistaken, but what was like the provision or executive order that Trump did where now they can go into places like churches to get illegals?
I mean, look, I think there's a lot of, I don't want to look at that in front of us before we get into, specifics, because I'm not off the bat familiar with.
You haven't heard.
Yeah. With this, I tend to have a rule of thumb, which is, in Washington, D.C., it's a good rule of thumb. A lot of people talk about statutes, and then you actually read the statute, and it says something different than what they talked about. And same thing with the executive orders. But broadly speaking, as a principle, do I believe in using local law enforcement to be able to enforce the law that if you're in this country illegally, to be able to return you to your country of origin, certainly if you've committed another crime, or even if you came within the last 18 to 24 months, great and easy place to start. Use local law enforcement to do it. I think that actually creates a much more peaceable way to carry this out in a way that is still respectful of the dignity of every human being as a human being. I think we've got to remember that if many of us, right, any of us were in the same position as many migrants who wanted a better life for their kids, Maybe each of us would have done the same thing they would have done if the United States government is perceived as giving you a wink and a nod to come on in. But that doesn't change the fact that we're a nation founded on the rule of law. So I think doing it in a manner that is respectful of every person's humanity and dignity, while at the same time not compromising on the rule of law, I think that's achievable, actually. But I think that's the way we ought to carry this out. Yeah.
Did you see anything?
I mean, this is from PBS. It seems like Department of Homeland Security says that ICE is able to...
PBS, we should not have state-funded media. I'll just sort of start with that. Okay.
I can pull up another source.
Yeah, but
what were you going to ask, Mark?
What I will say
there
on
was a question that
well, I mean, to conclude on this, it was just saying that it was able to enforce immigration laws to catch criminal aliens, including murderers and rapists who have illegally entered the country. They're no longer able to hide in churches and schools to avoid arrest.
Yeah, I think that seems fair to me.
But I feel like you were going to say something else.
I don't think we, as a country, generally like murders and hiding in schools and churches.
Throw them out.